Thank you so much. This fellowship is so important for my research, and I really appreciate the support. I'll be trying to prove that paediatric gliomas share similar features with a curable leukemia, with the aim of adapting these leukemia therapies for treating paediatric brain tumours. Because these are drugs that are routinely used in the clinic for treating leukemias, this removes a lot of the hurdles for establishing clinical trials. My goal will be to prove that these leukemia drugs will be effective in treating paediatric gliomas in order to justify clinical trials. And this fellowship gives me the chance to explore this idea. Since we're working on very sound principles, I think it's reasonable to estimate that we could get this idea to trial within the next 5 years, and I'll certainly be giving it my best shot. I just think the Cure Brain Cancer Foundation is such an excellent organisation. I've looked through the website and the materials that they provide to patients, to carers, for researchers. They're lobbying to the government. And I'm so impressed by the organisation and all the work that they've put in, because it's such clear communication and really highlighting and bringing attention to an important question. And I think the community comes together so well just to support this organisation as well. And yeah, it's a huge advantage to a brain cancer researcher. I was studying how a protein complex regulates DNA in normal cells in development, and then these proteins were found to be mutated in paediatric brain cancers. This was what sparked my initial interest about 7 years ago. And since then, there have been so many interesting discoveries and open questions in this field that there's a good chance I'll spend the rest of my life trying to answer just a few of them. This fellowship is vitally important for letting me continue my research. The mid-career phase can be a bit awkward because you have enough experience to develop interesting ideas and theories, but you're not yet in a position to compete against the very senior investigators. It's a point where a lot of talent is lost, which is both an immediate loss to the field, but it also has very long-term effects because all the future ideas also disappear with that person. It's a real gap, and it's a problem that the government funding bodies are trying to address. But philanthropic organisations like the Cure Brain Cancer Foundation can move on these issues much quicker, and they have. And these fellowships will be such an important bridge to make sure we don't end up with a skill shortage 10 or 20 years down the track. In so many ways. First and foremost, this fellowship will let me pursue an idea and a project that I think is very exciting and has real potential. The importance of this really can't be overstated because projects need to be funded before they can be started. This fellowship will also let me deliver on long-term outcomes for our previously funded projects, continue building for future research, and recruit and train future researchers in this field. On top of the science and the discoveries, this kind of continuity is vitally important for long-term research to deliver real outcomes. It's critically important. There'll always be gaps in research funding since there are so many problems that need solutions and finite amounts of funding. Philanthropic organisations like the Cure Brain Cancer Foundation have the flexibility to prioritise the problems and solutions that matter most to the organisation. My current research proposal is built on the foundations of earlier projects that were also funded by the Cure Brain Cancer Foundation. This foundation saw the long-term potential of our projects long before the translational outcomes were clear. That kind of vision, patience, and support has let us build over time to try to get to a cure. And it's this long-term support that's probably the most important part because it's hard to get to a cure, and nobody can do this in one project over a few years. Having an organisation that will support a long-term goal is just invaluable. Well, I don't think I'm really qualified to give advice, but I would say that I've always tried to make sure that the science comes first before everything else. It's a very difficult and competitive environment. I won't try to minimize that, but there is an overall lack of support for mid-career researchers. There are no easy solutions to this problem, but fellowships like this are so valuable in this environment. it is very tough, and the only thing anybody can do is try to put out the very best quality work that they're capable of.